What is happening YouTube? It's Jacob here from the Rush Dimension, coming at you with another deck profile. Today it's going to be my Ogdoadic Chaos Invoked version, and I hope you enjoy this profile as much as I do. It's not one of the top tier decks now, but extremely fun deck in my opinion. One of my favorite profiles to watch that other people make, and this is my version, and I hope you guys enjoy watching it. So I'm just going to go straight right into it. So for my version, still playing 3 Nunu and 3 Noyas. These are your starter cards that you prefer seeing in your hand if you don't see anything else, like the Snake Rain. This is the best card to start with. If you see both of them, that's brilliant. Unfortunately, this deck dies to most hand traps available throughout the game as well as in the current format, but it doesn't stop us from trying. I see some of the guys cutting one of this remnant specifically because this one's sending the better extender. In my opinion, I just prefer seeing as many snakes as possible, floating them in back and forth, searching what you need off this card that you need in the current situation that you're in or in the board that you are building. So these are just these for the basic level 4 snakes. This is how I play it, and then still as standard you just play one of each, the 1 Curse, 1 Alarit, 1 Aaron, 1 Queen. I do not play the Overlord in this build specifically. I play it in the pure version. Reasons for that is once you've built a board and you've sent the Overlord to the graveyard, flying it back in and then using its Zeus effect to blow the field, your cards tend to die with it. And I don't play Monster Reborn in this build either, so it was very suboptimal to have that card in. So I opted to play the King over that. King sniping cards from the hand. It's been great this format, hitting cards like Nibiru, hand traps, or even anything else that they need to start. Catching that one prank kid in the hand is what happened recently, and the guy couldn't play any further. It was brilliant for me. And then just the one Zoa, it's always going to be at 1. I've seen some builds playing more than this, builds like the Orcus variant will play a bit more for the discard. For me, just the one, and for everyone else, I see that just the one has been brilliant for when you've drawn into the bigger snakes that you do not want to see. You use this guy in the graveyard to send them to the graveyard, and that just unbreaks your hand. Playing more than one will be a bit bricky, but it's a personal preference. So I just, according to the meta that they've built so far, this at 1 has been the best in the optimization of the deck. And then for one of the main starters as well is, if you do not see snakes, you want to see your Alistair. Alistair will either add the OTK button to your hand, or it will add an extra negate, or just a general disruption. You'll see as I go into the extra deck which cards I chose to pair with Alistair. Light and Dark is in this deck, that's why I chose the Chaos variant. You'll see my Chaos setup coming up next. So being able to use Light and Dark as well as using your opponent's Light and Dark. The best term is when the guys say our graveyards. This is one of the cards that allows our graveyards. Although this thing being ashed is not the end of the world, overlaying this into a level 4, as you'll see in the extra deck, is the next best thing. Going on to the Chaos variant, it's the White Dragon, Black Dragon, 1 Chaos Creator and the 1 Chaos Levinaire. This as sniping cards overhand, clearing back row or problematic cards on the field, summoning back from the graveyard to make an additional rank 8 on board is the reason why I added even the Chaos Creator. Summoning back a banished card that you might have banished off the Alistair was a brilliant choice for me, making more rank 8 disruptions on the field, and rank 8 and rank 4 being the best utilities in Yu-Gi-Oh! And then hand traps, you play obviously 3 Ash Blossoms. This can be cut for a Dragoon package if you'd like. I do not play the Dragoon version in this. I opted not to play additional bricks amongst the cards that you already have, because the deck is a 6 out of 8 at best most of the time. You do not want to see the Dark Magician or the Red Eye Fusion in your hand or anything like that. So I opted to play the Ash Blossom over that as an additional hand trap. This gun is interchangeable with whatever you play at your locals. Ash Blossom just murders most of our games this side, and then you have to play the Gammas in this deck because there are so many spells that you want to see resolve before getting into any of your monster plays, up until the point where the beginning stages of your combo, still tributes for cost, leaving your board empty for Gamma to protect you. That's the reasons why the Gammas will be better in the main deck. And then Snake Rain, going into the spells, being one of the best starter cards in your hand. Having this being protected by Gamma is one of the best plays that I think. If they don't ash you there, then you can have a very indestructible board. 3 Chaos Space, this being played as the additional draw power as well. All the one-offs essentially that you need in your deck or in the graveyard, shuffling this back and then reusing them at a later stage. This deck grinds extremely well, and this adding any of the Chaos cards that you need at the time. That's why I played these 3 cards. And then obviously going into the Alistair package, as you still need the Meltdowns, still need the Terraforming because he is of the best starters. He's the best Ash bait or Droll bait, even if they chose to droll you. This deck can play around most hand traps if you know how to use it properly. If you fall prey to it, that's just unfortunate. The Terraforming is interchangeable. I changed this, the Monster Reborn out for the Terraforming when I removed the Overlord. I played 2 Water Lily because the third one is a bit of a brick. I want to have this in the deck, but at least more than once. So I kept it to 2 copies because the Invoked engine is too large. So I dropped one of these for one of the Alistairs or one of the other cards in the deck. But this at 2 is still brilliant. This once per turn, unfortunately. But this dumping a card comes up more than the Monster Reborn effect of the card. But if it does come up, it's just an additional material on field to make another rank 4, rank 8 play. And then Invocation at 2. I've actually played this at 1 for the longest of times, and decided to add the second one when I added more invokes to the extra deck. And then just the one called by. Same story with you want to see this if you don't see Gamma, so that you can at least have a chance. Because this deck is so susceptible to hand traps, you want to be able to use the call by to continue your plays. And if they don't have the hand trap, setting this is also as an additional negate, as it comes up more than the actual effect for killing hand traps. Then going into the extra deck, I play the 2 Macabre. Most of the time I just summon the 1. I've rarely summoned the second one on the same board, but just having the 1, and then if you know you can't kill the guy in the next turn, summoning the second one once this has left the field, that just helps you that much. And then the 1 Ogdoadic for the OTK, I opted to play this over Purgatrio because Purgatrio needs a fire engrave. Well, my thinking was relying on your opponent to have ashed or yourself to have ashed in your turn to be able to summon Purgatrio because you need a fire engrave or in hand was situational. So the Ogdoadic comes up more because there's a higher chance that you'd have a fusion engrave to be able to summon this card, and it being on field even as the only card because you've bricked or they've played through your board, it has an additional disruption, and the Purgatrio does not. So that was my choice over the Purgatrio, and then I cut the Purgatrio completely. Although some people play the Purgatrio additionally, I chose to play the Caliga over the Purgatrio because summoning the Caliga with the Dingirsu, it's game if they haven't sided in anything to go over your board. If they don't have anything in the main deck, then this just kills them. You attack with a Dingirsu, summon Zeus on top of that, and then you just wait it out until you draw into your plays. Then I played the 2 King of the Feral Imp. Chose to go with 2 over just the 1, for if they've stopped the 1 and you unfortunately have to stop your play there. If you survive the next turn, making the second one is just the best play going forward, because there isn't that much of a good chance that you actually draw into the card that you wanted to search off the Feral Imps. So making this on the second turn or third turn was the best choice to cover the most bases once a hand trap has hit. Then I play the 1 Strina and the Sacred Tree Beast. Because the deck tributes from grave for cost, summoning this onto the field, adding spells underneath that has been used for spell and monster disruption mostly, because I don't play any traps in this build. This alongside Mekaba is still a great board and difficult for most players to play through. And then I play the numbers game using the Hope Harbinger, the Dracubulon and the Numeron Dragon for the OTKs and for any extra spell negates that you require. Summoning this next to Caliga is also a play to look at. if you've already used the Dingirsu or don't play Dingirsu, because they are forced to attack this instead of the Kaliga, so then the attack and the effect has been used for the turn. Additionally, I play amongst the Dingirsu, I also play the one copy of Lancelot. The reason why I chose to play the one Lancelot is summoning this as a last resort as your rank 8 going into battle phase. If this card has materials, it can attack your opponent directly. If they choose to activate something, this will negate it mandatorily, still leaving you with two materials for main phase 2 to summon the Zeus if you need that. And then Zeus, obviously, because there's a lot of Exceeds in this deck and most of them are relatively high in attack, so swinging into anything or just bumping into anything that's in defense mode, then summoning Zeus and passing, sometimes this is enough to kill most of the cards that you play against. And last is Reptilian Echidna. My reasoning for playing this card is it's an additional searcher in the long run if that needs to come up, but this also drops your opponent's monster to 0. Cards that cannot be destroyed by battle, that's a permanent drop. Swinging over it with any other monster on the field, it actually comes up a lot more than any other effect. You don't really use this for the search. If you do, then it's all Gucci going forward. And going into the side deck being very traditional for the most sense for the current meta. I don't banish in my opponent's turn, so Lanciers to stop most of your Tri-Brigades. Ghost spells for the Tri-Brigades and the Drytrons. Also the Drolan Lock for the same lineup. You're seeing a lot of Prankids, Tritrons and Tri-Brigades in the top matches these days. Having this for the best chance is the most optimum that I thought. And then obviously you needed just a somewhat of a back row removal. Choosing Twin Twister for the discard so that you can continue with your snake plays after the Twin Twister hit. This against the Prankids was brilliant all week. And then Dark Ruler once again. This deck does not always clear all the cards off the field once this has been played, but my thinking was using this, switching off their board, and then just building a board to counter their board that's currently there and trying to remove as many threats as possible. Then the start of their turn, you having all the answers was for me the best choice as a side deck card. you so much. Would you please like and subscribe? Comment any of your suggestions or changes that you feel I should make to the deck. For me, this is the side deck options is for our locals or area specifically for the decks that we play against. So you can't exactly use the side in most of the videos depending on which areas you stay. Any comments are welcome, and we'll see you next time.